No way! The last time I saw a dump this big was my neighbor's geriatric pool party. Don't ask me why I was there. Let's just say grannies give the best hugs. Guys, is this rejection at $33,000 a bad thing, or is it in fact my favorite scenario? Okay, so with all that being said, my personal favorite scenario would to see Bitcoin consolidate here, potentially even have a pullback, maybe come down to 30,000, even a little bit below that. And even potentially all the way down to 25, 26,000, and kind of just beef up that area with some volume and support. I don't think either of those scenarios would be bad. For me, I think any consolidation before this level actually truly breaks out to the upside would be better, because like I said, I think that once we actually start climbing past this area, when we break 34 again, maybe 35 and 40 plus, things are going to start getting even more crazy, right? We even saw, and boy are we ready for an exciting week, let's just dive on in. Welcome back, everyone. I'm your host, Gilbert Granny Panties, and boy, oh boy, do we have a lot to be jumping into in this webisode, guys. With Bitcoin's current rejection, what does it mean for Bitcoin going forward, and how is this going to affect the alts? Right, we played that clip at the beginning, and I think it comes as no surprise that the market did react interestingly here on Monday, and I think we're going to be seeing a lot of similar price action over this week, really the first full week of 2021, and I think we're actually going to be jumping into some very interesting price discovery. Well, so if you guys love gainers and grannies, make sure to hit that like, subscribe, turn on the post notifications, and without any further ado, let's jump on in. Guys, before we really jump into the price action, I wanted to talk about this, right? There are a lot of new people watching these videos. I'm getting comments that I haven't seen in years, like people asking what TA is, right? For the past few years, I've not gotten that question because it's been people that have been in crypto for a while now, but this is the first time we're actually seeing a pretty large amount of new people join the space that don't necessarily know what TA is, don't really know too much about Bitcoin, and so I think it's important to also bring to their attention that there are a lot of turkey gobblers out there that are absolutely spreading misinformation and FUD, which stands for fear, uncertainty, and doubt in this market. And the king of Bitcoin turkey gobble is none other than our favorite Peter Sniff. Now, in this article here on AMB Crypto, he basically says, as Financial Times printed on the front page, Bitcoin value tops 30,000 US dollars. And Peter Sniff here says, well, it's not Newsweek, but it seems like a pretty good indicator of a market top to me. And guys, one thing I will say is that it is possible that over the next few weeks, this could be our local top. We could see money flow into alts, or we don't, and we see the entire market retrace a little bit into something like this that we're going to be covering in this chart, or a scenario here we're going to be covering. I have too many charts open. In this chart here, okay? So this is a scenario we're going to be talking about. But fear not, because mid and long term, I believe it's very important to be extremely realistic, and that leads you to being bullish in the mid to long term. But short term, that's what we're going to be diving into in the video today. But one thing I just want to say here is that Peter does spread a lot of misinformation, a lot of FUD about Bitcoin, and we have to realize why he's doing this. He was advised to buy Bitcoin early on, in the very early days. He didn't, and now he's extremely angry, and Bitcoin is set to disrupt gold, amongst many other things. And Peter is a huge gold bug, perhaps one of the most famous gold bugs in history. So he basically has a lot to lose here if Bitcoin succeeds, right? Because he's a huge proponent of a competitor to Bitcoin, which is gold. And this is the most important line of the article right here. He talks bad about Bitcoin and he calls it a bubble, and then he says, the gold bug clarified that he was not biased against Bitcoin because of his own interest in Shift Gold, where he is chairman. Guys, that's the exact opposite of the truth. He is completely biased against Bitcoin exactly because of what this sentence says, because of his interest in Shift Gold, because he's potentially the most famous gold advocate on the planet, or at least that I've ever heard of. So the fact that he has to clarify that he's not biased against Bitcoin, guys, let's differentiate fact from fiction. This is clearly a lie. He has the most to lose. He is insanely biased against Bitcoin because he has the most to lose. Luckily for Peter, his son is invested in Bitcoin because the neurons in his brain fire, unlike old Peter here. Go munch on some gold, old man. Enough about Alzheimer's, let's delve into these charts. So guys, what we've seen so far isn't anything drastic whatsoever. If we look on some of these short-term time frames, we're actually still holding some key fib levels. We had a very big wick you can see on the 4-hour, and even the 1-hour had a massive wick, but so far we've gotten a strong bounce. However, the question really is this the beginning of a more short-term pullback or correction? I personally think that's something we have to watch out for. And on this daily chart, this to me is just so important. We've been talking about this for weeks. To me, as I literally said in the video, and I played the clip of what I said yesterday, I personally would prefer if we actually got consolidation around this level. Now, for me, consolidation would mean holding somewhere above 28,000 US dollars, even worst case, somewhere around 25,000 US dollars over the next week or two. So basically what I'm saying there, for me, best case scenario for Bitcoin over the next week in terms of healthy mid and long-term explosiveness to the upside is to get a retracement. Now, we've all been saying that basically for weeks, that it would be healthier if Bitcoin corrected first. And as you can see, best illustrated on the weekly chart, we just haven't gotten that because people keep buying Bitcoin. So again, will we actually get any sort of sustained correction that could last 1, 2 weeks, perhaps an entire month? I think it's unlikely, but I do think that we have a chance to actually get some consolidation. But again, I don't think it's going to last 2 to 3 weeks or something like that. I think, unfortunately, for people that want to buy in or people that want to have more time to accumulate, I just don't necessarily know if we're going to have that chance just yet. And remember, we have this 21-week moving average right here, currently around 16,500 US dollars. Very lowest case scenario. Do I think that's likely? Not at all. Do I think we'll ever see a $20,000 Bitcoin again? I think it's very unlikely. I would put the chances of that right now probably below 10%. Again, 10% is still possible, but I just think it's very unlikely, right? 10% is pretty unlikely. Bitcoin literally holding just some levels that we have on multiple different charts here, right? We just have multiple different fib levels and different retracement levels open on all of these charts at all times. And the more charts that it hits, the more charts that show certain levels holding, the more confident I am that these levels are still bullish for Bitcoin. But overall, guys, you can see here, huge wick. This was our biggest dump in a long time. And in fact, probably our biggest single day dump ever in terms of actual numbers, just because of how valued the market is. It's not the biggest percent drop, but it's probably the biggest daily drop, maybe besides the drop back in March. But yeah, this was a $6,000 dump. And if we actually go back, even in that dump in March, let's see how much it was back then. Yeah, that was roughly about $6,000 or $7,000. So it's crazy. If you look at this on a log scale, this looks massive and this looks tiny because percentage-wise, it is pretty different in terms of their percentage drops. But because Bitcoin's so valued right now, a $6,000 drop right now, this is what it looks like. It looks like basically nothing. Guys, what I want to talk about as well, I want to take a look at Ethereum, as Ethereum set new highs for the past basically 3 years last night, as we were talking about as well. I'm extremely excited about that. But this really is the question now of if the entire crypto market is going to consolidate here and kind of just hold this as support, as we've broken the all-time high as of the last week or so of about $750 million. We actually got all the way up to about $940 billion, so a little under $1 trillion. And yeah, we're just going to see some more consolidation here along these levels, right? For the entire crypto cap, right around $750 billion. Currently, we're like $100 billion above that. So you can see the wick went right exactly down to that, and that's exactly where it bounced as well. So again, there's absolutely nothing that I'm seeing in terms of mid or long-term bearishness. Worst case, I see, 1 to 3 weeks of consolidation, absolute worst case. But again, I think even that length of time, 2 to 3 weeks, is a little too unlikely at this point. We'll see. We'll see if things are changing day by day as we look at this. But at this point, there's been nothing, absolutely nothing, to make us bearish on this market as a whole. As the reason, again, I bring this article up is because there are going to be people, like we say, like everyone says, when Bitcoin's blowing up, everyone basically is saying, well, the second we get the smallest dip, the Bitcoin haters, the incontinent Bitcoin haters are going to come out and say, oh, it's a bubble, it's a bubble. Secretly, the only reason they say that is because they didn't invest, or maybe they just want attention. But either way, we see this narrative over and over and over and over and over again. And the one thing I can tell you is when you see this narrative, the last thing you want to do is panic, right? You can maybe scale out of positions or take profit, of course. Certain levels, you should always be doing that incrementally, in my opinion. But believing the fear is the last thing you want to do. The last thing you want to do is let fear, specifically fear, uncertainty, and doubt, the last thing you want to do is let FUD dictate what you do with your portfolio. If anything, look at the TA and then what's going on in the background. And again, guys, what's going on in the background is extremely bullish. So at this point, I see absolutely no reason to be long-term, mid-term bearish on Bitcoin. Like I said, worst case, and we'll circle back to it every day, but worst case, potentially we correct for a week or two, right? Maybe 3 weeks. And with that being said, the DXY hit a new low today. You see a very strong rebound, but guys, I mean, again, What trajectory are we going with this? I still think it's down. I still think we're just going to continue plummeting here with the DXY, kind of the main point here. And how does that relate to crypto? If this keeps plummeting, Bitcoin's going to explode. If specifically, if the DXY breaks this level here of about like 88.2, 88.3 that it bounced at back in 2018, if it breaks below that, then get ready for Bitcoin, $40,000, $50,000 Bitcoin very, very soon, within the first quarter of this year, within the next 2 to 3 months. If we break this, guys, it's going to accelerate it, and it's just going to be quicker than ever. And also, interestingly here, the SPX took a really big dive today as well, getting rejected off of this pretty long trend line for the entire year of 2020. Okay, we started off 2020 here, got a very big bounce like all or a very big crash like all markets did back in March. And it's been testing this line. I've been watching this closely for a while, and yeah, we got a rejection. We didn't break above it, so it'll be interesting to see how this plays out also. Yeah, so if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications, and as well, guys, if you're interested in trading, you have experience, and want to support the channel as well, make sure to take advantage of our Bybit bonuses below. A lot of people have been longing Bitcoin lately. Not financial advice, but if you gather anything from this video, as I said, I don't personally think Bitcoin will be at $40,000 in exactly a week from now, right? I think that this potentially could be an area where we, like we said yesterday, continue to consolidate a little bit, reset some of these momentum oscillators, but things can change in an instant. So remember to form your own opinion about what you think exactly is going on here. Everybody on the planet is speculating on Bitcoin right now. Nothing is guaranteed. Just very, very awesome, crazy times to be living through.